So the topic for today is Think Different. I'm Mausami, and here with me I have Chirag, Guna, Rajnikant, Raghav, and Manoj. So before we begin, we would like you to see this video, which we all think is a hilarious example of how to think differently, and it's a very elegant example as well. So let's just watch this video, please.
ये देना ये देना मैं तेरे वास्ते नाची रे देना
मैं भी नाचा मेरे को दो
क्या हेड़ा
So, I mean, you can think differently while walking on the road. It's not necessary that you should be a rocket scientist to think differently, right? So, basically, what is thinking differently? What does it mean? So, it means stop before you start. Stop what you're doing before you start to do it. Stop to think before you start to do. So, basically, all of our lives are in a rut. We follow the same routine. We wake up, we do our stuff, and we go to sleep, and again we wake up, and the cycle goes on and on. We don't stop to think that what we are doing and why we are doing it. Can it be done in a different way? So the best innovators aren't lone geniuses. They are people like you and me. So if they can do it, why can't we? All we need is to think in a different way. There are people who can take an idea that's very obvious in some given context and apply it in a not so obvious way in some other context. The next example will make it more clear. The story of Velcro. I mean, I think many of us would be familiar with it, but there was this guy named George de Mestral who observed the cockleburs, which was sticking to his pants while he was walking through the woods. I'm pretty sure most of us would have experienced it. Maybe we wouldn't have been knowing by that time that it's called cockleburs. I mean, I didn't know when I was a kid. But when you're walking in your field or playing, they used to get stuck to your socks or skirt or pants. But we were just annoyed and we never thought about it. This guy was curious, and his curiosity was what led to the innovation of Velcro. So this is a way to think differently. But why are we not able to think differently now? Are we killing our ability to think? Because maybe this comic strip is a very good example, because right now what our education system does not teach us how to think. We are looking at the books, so we cannot see an apple fall and come up with a different way to interpret it and be a Newton or be the next Einstein. So to make the point more clear, let's watch this next video, which I think most of us would be able to relate to, our OB lecture. So please play the video.
अब आ रहे हो? Get out.
ये है आम जिंदगी।
कहाँ जा रहे हो? Sit down.
ये है
Okay, so I will focus on how can you think different. So, how we will be thinking differently. First, what is the crux of thinking different? First, we should have a creative mindset. Mind is one of the most important organ, and this is the power source of all our energy. So, how can you make it much more creative? Thinking is a habit. Let's say we want to be a good chess player. So what we do? We play much more games. If you want to be a good speaker, you practice much more. So same manner, we would want to train our mind so that we can think in different manner. So let's take first topic, divergent thinking. What do you mean by this divergent thinking? Since childhood, we are thinking in a single domain. We are in much uniform manner. So what happens is our mind becomes lazy. So what we need is to have a much more broader perspective. And how can we get that? By reading different novels, different books, we should use different kinds of activities. Just we can learn new things, just like painting, dancing, so that we can have a much more broader perspectives. Coming to the second point, don't get too attached. What happens if you get some idea in the mind? We believe that this is a key idea. We will be doing great with this idea and we lose focus. We limit our ability. So in order to get our all focus on something, we need to differentiate between different ideas. Sometimes what happens, we get an idea and we neglect that idea. We think that this is not of our use. And next ideas are not that so great. So first we have to compare all ideas, then we have to select one idea. The fourth part is spot opportunity. It is one of the most difficult tasks because what happens, we are not very ready to take that opportunity. So we have to be different. And how can we be different? Because we have to be on toe, be ready to check, to change the things, be ready to change the dimension. So how can we do that? We have such a good peer. We have our great faculties. So we can learn from them. We can take a feedback. Now coming on to the process. What happens is, I believe that many of you all agree that since childhood, we were much smarter and faster in learning than now. Why? The reason is curiosity. Because at that time, we are much more curious to learn. So it happens that we become much more faster and we grab the things very early. So curiosity gives inspiration to learn. And after that, we can brainstorm all the ideas, whatever we gather, and draft one idea and reflect that idea that, yes, we are doing good. And just execute that idea. So the crux of this whole thing is that different thinking leads to creativity. And creativity leads to innovation.
Yeah. Next, we'll just see about what exactly differentiates between an innovator and a non-innovator. So there was this study conducted by Harvard Business School, which observed around 5,000 CEOs and executives and come up with these observations. And it was observed that innovators spends around 50% more time thinking differently when compared to non-innovators. And also they frequently think, and whereas non-innovators, they are very occasional thinkers. So the next one is the comfortableness. It was found that around 60 to 80% of the people are very uncomfortable, and they also find it very exhaustive thinking differently. So it might be because of a mental block, as my other section mates told, and it could be also probably because of the conventional mode of thinking process we go throughout our career, like not being divergent enough and being convergent to comply with the norms and the groups. And also the next one, environment also affects, because presently environment is, what it does is it basically criticizes innovative thinking if you don't comply with the norms. And this picture describes exactly what I'm saying, because the teacher exactly wants to punish the kid if he doesn't do it according to her rules and all. So this must be eliminated. And the next one is genetics. Genetics plays little role in encouraging different thinking, but it has a role, but it's found that it plays around 20% of the role in developing innovative capability. And also, but no one has a corner. Neither Steve Jobs nor Mark Zuckerberg have a corner in thinking differently. Everyone can improve it if they put enough efforts. And it was proved by this review that if you put consistent efforts on a continual basis and all, we can think differently. And coming on to how to learn, think differently, these are the things which I would say, because just do it, whatever it is. Just initiate the ideas and just mix it up and just try to change the directions of your thinking process and just repeat it once more time. If you fail, just repeat it again. You will just end up being on a winning side. So this video aptly describes what I'm saying. He's a well-known tennis player, Roger Federer. This video exactly describes what I said on my previous 2 slides. Yeah. See.
15 long.
I mean, I don't think he's taken that scene. I should have taken too early, have you?
That's on the half volley, that was. I mean, he was just behind the serve.
We see that Roger Federer, this was a new shot invented by him recently. It's called Sneak Attack by Roger Federer. And this shot was actually perceived as a dangerous and harmful shot, and it was unrespectable for other players. But since we have seen, he was timeless. I mean, he was just trying the shot, though he have failed a couple of times. He still tried it, and finally he won the point. And also, what I'm saying is just accommodate to your ideas, and also try to just go with it. Then you'll definitely succeed. And also, though it was perceived as a difficult shot by others, he just went on. He just went against the odds. So that is what is required, and that is what made him a greatest of the all time.
Why think different? First of all of us think of the next big idea. Next big idea. Or all of us here, most of us here want to become entrepreneurs. But you know that 90% of the entrepreneurs fail. Only 10%. What makes them different? The only thing is they thought differently. They thought, why not this way? And made sure that other people thought the way they did. And the next thing I talk about, daydream, get lost in time. If you don't daydream, for example, you might not like the food in your mess. I've seen people being pessimistic about it. But as long as you don't be optimistic that tomorrow you might have a good food by going to Highlight Mall or something like that, but you might, and I mean, that's more important. So it is more important to be a daydream. And the next thing I talk about is a different eye. 12 Angry Men. All of us have seen the movie. Juror 8. If we hadn't think in a different perspective, we wouldn't have been here. Thank you.
I'll continue with the rest of the things. We basically put these things to say that it's not about why should people think differently. It's about giving little small examples. Why do people think differently? New ways to express oneself. Every one of us would like to be distant when we express ourselves, at least when we are proposing to a girl. So this thing, it's like I'll narrate you a situation. As evident as it is, so says Google. There's a guy who bought 99 iPhones. He arranged them in such a way, and he proposed to that girl. That's the way he thought differently, but irony is that she did not accept it. He was rejected. Now it's a thinking differently exercise. Can you guys pitch in some ideas why he was rejected? Okay, nice. Very good. Else? There's nothing wrong or right. It's like pitch in ideas. Awesome. Very good. Okay, it's like I thought that every girl need not be a fan of iPhone. She might be a fan of Galaxy or something else. And procrastinate shortcuts. It's like as soon as you reach your workspace, the first thing, I mean, when I had an experience. As soon as I reached my first place, first work, it's like my manager told me, it's not about burdening yourself with work. You need to reject work. You need to know how to procrastinate work. So it's like you can't procrastinate work just bluntly. It's like you need to come up with different reasons. Even we procrastinate work a lot. All of us will acknowledge this point that it takes a lot of effort to think differently, to give different answers to procrastinate the same work. And curiosity. How many of we do have friends that say, suppose I flipped a coin and I won the toss. How many of you would actually come and check whether it's a real coin or not? But there might be people, not to this extent, but there might be people, it's like they have learned the alphabet Y before A. It's like they keep on asking why. They are these curious people. And outsmart the HR. It's like when we are being interviewed, even now, it's not about assortment of commodities or merchandise. It's like HR people started assorting us. It's like, be it the Myers-Briggs type indicator or the Big Five personality model. They're saying that, okay, you are sociable, you are ESTG, you are outcomers. So outsmart the HR, think differently, make yourself as random as possible. Never, let them have their pain. Okay.
Yeah, why think differently again? Jugaad, our Indian innovation. So basically it's about doing something with limited resources, and then whatever you have, for example, you have the iron box, using it to heat milk, and the AC cooler, using fans to cool 2 rooms, and the train. So all these things show that, yeah, the Jugaad is also a great innovation. Thank you.
In the interest of time, I'll just run through it. It's not that one should follow these thought paths. It's suggestion. And never though we are putting this slide, never it occurs to our mind that before we think we'll have a checklist that whether I'm being strategically thinking correct or inquisitively thinking correct. It doesn't happen as a checklist. It's like we need to practice it. I won't go through the definitions because you'll be bored. I'll be passing on to Rajnikant.
Actually, okay, let's sum it up. Rene Descartes, a great philosopher, once said that I think, therefore I am. Actually, it has quite deep meaning, but still, we can sum up it. We can say that thinking actually has influenced humankind very much. It has actually got us from the Stone Ages to place where we are. But all the discussion which actually has happened, we discuss about these fire, wheel, invention of steam engine, all these things. These were like not maybe reactionary, but thinking to solve problem. Okay, then it's easy thing actually to think to solve any problem. But right now we are living in such a world where the problems are very edgy. Like there's a problem of global warming, but it's actually of very high scale. So we will not be able to solve these kind of problem when we actually apply ourselves just to solve this problem. So what should be done? And how thinking different can solve it? And actually, thinking of, I actually propose, no, not propose, but I have heard somewhere that we need to actually think it like a gospel, that we need to think for thinking's sake. Think for thinking. And one of the best innovation of our time, one of the best things in our time actually happened where people actually thought only for thinking. Like consider, for example, indeterminate number. I heard somewhere that Ramanujan in his class asked that if there is no person and no apple, how many apple everybody will get? It seems idiotic, but it is actually the concept of indeterminate. Our concept of limits, mathematics, is based on these things. So I propose a thing, all the action plans to think differently is very good, but we need to apply a broader concept of thinking for thinking's sake, so as to be ready for the complex problem which we will have in future. Thank you.